do you have a sub-meter for your locker room, which is an area where there is a significant consumption of water?
Sir, we have a section which is ladies and gents locker room and the certain wash up area in our cafeteria. It is in one zone, and we do have. And I just would like to add that we have a sensor motion tap in all across the locker area, and the spout of the tap is not that broad. We have kept the special spout, so to rinse the hand after using the soap, whatever the requirement of the water, it comes out exactly in the same time and motion, because all that has been done based on study, and then you can rinse your hand after washing. So we do have that in place.
Thank you, Harinder. Now I'll take a round of questions for the engineers and come back to the ladies if we have time. So my first question goes to to Bhaskar of Leela Hotel. Bhaskar, you are aware that climate change is likely to reduce global GDP by 5 to 20% when it's in full form. It's already in our doorstep. And I think another few years' time, it'll be in our drawing room and then all over the house. So this scenario, which we all are aware of, what steps are being taken to reduce emissions by the hotel in Bangalore or wherever, whichever property that you handle?
Sir, I talk for the Leela Group for all our hotels. We have a comprehensive program for each hotel, depending upon their geographical location and size of the hotel, the number of units, and particularly a few locations where high humidity and high temperatures are demand very high energy consumption for the building. First of all, there is a serious need to cut the emissions, which is a need of an hour. Having COVID at our doorstep, this has fast-tracked the importance, and we recognize that, and we have also put some control measures in place. And these are all, we have also taken some extreme measures in terms of improving the efficiencies and introducing some technology into the hotel so that the efficiency of the building in terms of energy consumption and energy efficiency and sustainable practices as early as possible, as fast as possible. So that one, it is important for all the hotels, because we operate all palace hotels where the consumption of the hotel as it is high if you don't implement necessary steps. Two of our hotels are platinum rated green buildings where the energy efficient measures are already at the best possible for a building. Now what we have designed over last few months, we have created a roadmap for next 2 years, starting from a small hotel from Udaipur to Chennai, Bangalore, Delhi, all across India. Each hotel will be doing some kind of measures for sustainability, energy efficiency, and operational efficiencies. This is a bit exhaustive work we have planned, but we have also put the timelines. We are bringing in some new plant and machinery equipments in order to achieve this efficiencies that we ourselves set a benchmark standards. And any new equipment that we are going to buy, it will be definitely a 5-star rated best energy efficient product for sure. And of course, end of the day, the operating costs day in, day out, we read out in the HLP sheet and we monitor the consumption area by area. And these are the few preventive measures. Most of our hotels are fitted with windmill energy, sir. 90% to 100% of power is met by the renewable energy source, and this is since 2008. Today, mostly all the hotels are practicing this. It is no exceptions. But what we have done is about 10 years back, 10 to 12 years back, we have adopted all major hotels have been fitted with the renewable energy. Now, with the operational efficiencies, we have done LEDs, VFDs, timers, sophisticated building management system, and we are also ensuring the operational requirements like laundry, the boiler operation in synchronized with the kitchen operation, so that the maximum energy is utilized with a best efficient manner. And the rooms are set at 25, 26, depending upon the geographical location of so that the asset quality is maintained, and the standards are implemented and adjusted without affecting any guest comfort. These are a few things we have done recently.
Thank you, Bhaskar.
Yeah.
Now we go to Mr. Bhaskar Gurunath. What is the impact of what's the impact on your energy costs in Marriott hotels due to the protocols issued by Government of India? Can you give us some insights into this, please?
Well, I hope I'm audible. Conventional wisdom in energy conservation. Thank you. Conventional wisdom in energy conservation circles are suggesting that the introduction of any outdoor air into a building, while it is necessary to a certain extent to improve the indoor air quality, is a major source of energy use in buildings. Thank you, BW Hotelier, Bhuvnesh and Niranjan, for having me on this panel. Namaste to my fellow panelists and our audience. Question here is this with respect to the guidelines of running air conditioning, air circulation and air cooling during COVID-19. Government of India has issued guidelines for this, and I would like to point out three major topics, three major items that the Government of India wants us to do when it comes to indoor air quality improvement. One of them is running the air handler unit with maximum fresh air. This is because the outdoor air that needs to be conditioned prior to being delivered into the occupied spaces, right? Before you bring in air from outside, you need to condition it. What are the levels of conditioning would be done on this? The first level would be a basic filtration, which would be a particle filtration. The second level would be to remove moisture from this, which would be dehumidification. And the third conditioning would be to change the temperature of the air that's being pumped into the building space. The traditional approach for this is using normally filters and a vapor compression equipment, which will either compress vapors or compress vapors, cool water, and bring the water to where the heat exchange needs to happen. Removing water or dehumidification is a process that is taking out water from the air. It accounts for nearly about 3 to 5% of the energy of HVAC use. So when you're trying to remove moisture from the air that you're pumping in, you will expend about 5% of your energy for the entire HVAC that's consumed in a building. What happens now is the way we dehumidify our air is one of the most inefficient methods. Let me give you an example how this is done. We bring in warm, humid air into the air handler. We cool this air so that the moisture condenses on the cooling coil. And then when the air is coming out of the cooling coil, it's much cooler than what you need, because you need to bring it that cool so that it would condense and release the moisture content in it. Once you have very cold air coming out, you're not able to pump it straight into the guest spaces or occupied user space because it's too cold. That's not what you want. So you're going to introduce some heaters and heat the air back and pump it into the space. So this is an extremely inefficient way. And add to that, now the government wants us to run with maximum fresh air. So you're going to add a lot of load on your chiller. There was a case study when ASHRAE introduced the change from 50 CFM per occupant to 20 CFM per occupant, which was a 4-time increase in the fresh air that's required to be pumped into buildings to improve the indoor air quality. The energy usage for buildings increased anywhere between 4 to 10% depending on where these buildings were situated. Now we are talking of increasing from 15 to 20% fresh air to almost 100% fresh air. So I would leave the math to you. So we are increasing tremendously multifold energy consumption. The second point that Government of India wanted us to do in this was switch off our heat recovery wheels, or rather the heat exchangers. What is this? Heat exchangers are devices that are basically placed where extraction of air conditioned air and input of fresh air into the building is happening simultaneously. In such places, the heat wheel is introduced. It could be either a heat wheel, it could be a plate heat exchanger, or any other type of heat exchange equipment which would recover latent heat and improve the efficiency of your air handlers or your building air conditioning system. Normally, this increases the efficiency of your system by about 10 to 15%.
30 seconds
When
to
you have
wind
air
up, please,
changes that needs to
Bhaskar.
happen
You have 30 seconds to wind up. I have to manage the time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes. So heat recovery wheels were asked to be switched off. So this is going to add additional load of about 30 to 40% when we talk about bringing in more fresh air. The last point I would like to point out is to run the air handlers 2 hours before and 2 hours after the unit or the division or the restaurant or the public space is to open. So this is going to add about 30 to 40% additional air conditioning demand or load on the system. Because if a restaurant is a 1 meal restaurant, we say about the unit runs for 6 hours. Now we need to run for 10 hours. That's a straight increase of 40 to 50%. So this is another area. Put all these three components together, we are looking at multi-fold increase in the energy consumption.
Thank you.
So we are throwing these challenges to our listeners.
Thank you. From what you have said, it seems that COVID will help to enhance climate change and bring it to our drawing room much earlier than envisaged. Okay.
Much earlier, and we are throwing these challenges to the engineers. So it's budgeting season. Engineers, get your pens and papers, bring your calculators. You know what to budget. It's not going to be easy with the mounting cost of energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Water and energy are like Siamese twins, and no better person than Madan to tell us a little more details. What is the water energy nexus? Often when I am talking to lay audience, if you want to understand, says go back home, fill up a bucket of water with 18 liters of water and keep it on the floor and then lift it up to the kitchen slab 4 or 5 times. Then you'll start appreciating the water that you use and you'll start using every drop of water. Over to you, Madan.
Madan.
So, Madan.
Sorry, my apologies.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Bhuvnesh ji, for inviting me for this as a panelist. And thank you very much, Khatri Saab. It's a very interesting subject you have touched. You see, the water and energy are the resources that are reciprocally and mutually linked with each other. To meet the energy needs requires large quantity of water in the hotels we are talking about. For the personal hygiene, cooking, washing activities, laundry, swimming pools, spa, drinking water, irrigation, indoor and outdoor, both. And beyond this, there's a place where water is used for the air conditioning and the heating plants, which the quantity is very, very minimal. And energy is needed to pumping and distribution of water for collection, treatment, and discharge of water. So this is the major amount of energy which is spent. If we talk about in terms of figures, the water itself costs you approximately 23.8% of the total HLP cost. Now, how to reduce it is another way of doing it. You see, we need to go back and we need to visit our design systems, because the water pump for a long distance piping and all, which is a lot of waste in energy, which needs to be reduced, and there's the losses also which needs to be reduced also at the same time. The second thing was the simulation needs to be carried out in terms of the designing of building, how much water is required. So another thing which I was very keen to talk about is IoT technology. So most of our engineering aspects, whether it's the water, air conditioning, or the pumping systems and all, we need to have a IoT-based or dashboard-based operations, which will improve the performance, consistency, safety, and the water saving also at the same time. See, when we talk about energy consumption in the hotel, by doing these small things, which can save energy consumption by 20%, and 30% can be saved in terms of electricity, which includes the hot water and electricity both. So there are a few things which I would like to talk about. One is you gave an example of bathtub and shower. Normally taking a shower, it takes approximately 2 gallons of water per minute. And if a person takes a shower for 10 minutes, he or she consumes approximately 20 liters of water, 20 gallons of water, multiplied by 3.45. And in the bathtub itself, we are using, or we are filling up that bathtub consumes approximately 80 gallons of water. So if we use showers, or if we run awareness programs amongst the guests itself, then we can save approximately 1/3 of the water consumption. It's not only the water. We'll be saving approximately 20 to 22% of energy also in terms of pumping those areas. The cost overall, which is included into pumping the water and then recycling the water and then again reusing it. And the same thing, which is like, for example, in city hotels, the water consumption is very high in the morning and evenings, but the resort properties, the water consumption is high in the evenings only. So we need to integrate our heat pumps or hot water systems as well as the water systems to make up this water and to see what is the time where the water is required, and subsequently to integrate the system by, in other words, we can talk about the hydrodynamic system, which needs to be optimized. The pressure optimization needs to be carried out for that. And again, the air conditioning, Bhaskar has already touched up the subject in terms of because of ASHRAE and NISHRAE guidelines, what temperature needs to be maintained, and at the same time, dehumidification which needs to be done, and the water needs to be reused again. And the same thing is for the laundry. The laundry wastewater can be separately recycled and can be reused in the laundry itself. I think I answered your question, I believe. You're mute, Mr. Khatri.
Madan, thank you. Have any of you considered having a talking shower? Which tells me after 2 minutes, Mr. Khatri, you had a good shower. I think you should wind up another 1 or 2 minutes time. I think time for such service design come now, because we are really...
I need that device on my shows also.
Or think of a service design where you charge them for a room, and then depending on how many minutes they're going to have a bath, separate charge. Give those options so that you enter the perceptual arena of the guest mindset. This is how you empathetic service design in our conversation. And I was very happy. First 2 days I attended the session, and people were using words like being mindful, minimalistic design, less is more. So if I'm talking about empathetic design, then we need to take a cue from all these senior luminaries of the industry to convert this into action. Thank you. Now I'll come to Mr. Vinayaka. Vinayak, is water a concern of the senior management agenda or only engineers' responsibility? And do you do a lot of water audits and frequently? And how much has it led to reducing water consumption in ITC hotels?
Yeah, thank you, Niranjan. Thank you, Bhuvaneshji, organizing such a wonderful interaction, and also other co-panelists. Your question is whether senior management is involvement of senior management. A couple of years back, because I'm in this industry working from last almost 30 years, you are right, a couple of years back, there was no focus. But nowadays, the focus is tremendous overall on the sustainability aspects. If I say how I can justify this statement, if you go by the sustainability report of major hospitality industries, whether it is IHG, say for example, IHG says by 2025, about 6 water stewardship projects will complete. That is their sustainability agenda which they have kept. Or if you take Hilton, they have kept it as some 20, 30, 50% of my water consumption I'll reduce. Or if you take Marriott, they have made it something like 15, 30, 45. 15% of water, 30% of energy, 45% of waste by, Bhaskar can correct me, by 2025. So that means these agendas have been set by the leadership team. Coming back to our organizations, I'm sure IHCL, Lemon Tree, each and every organization has set their agenda for a couple of years by the top management. Coming to ITC, we have set 20-20-20. That means 20% reduction in water, fresh water consumption. Not I'm talking about demand side management. 20% on energy and 20% on waste. Whatever level you are in today, by 2025, this percent has to come. Last couple of years, what is the only specifically to the water? Almost 50%, nearby 50% of the consumption has reduced. How it is possible? It's possible only by a top-down approach. There is an agenda has been set, and down the line, people are also sensitized how to follow on this. And what are all the new technological intervention in the last couple of years is very good. So that what you are saying, is it a low-flow fixtures or something like pressure reducing multi-story buildings and different pressures, what pressure setting has to be done, as you're rightly mentioning, locker room, for example, even in the employees' locker room areas. When we did an audit, like an water audit, was just mentioned, our maximum consumption was in the locker, like an hotel, like about 400, 500 room, where you have 1,000 plus employees. The maximum every day they will take a shower. So that is a major consumption. That too in a winter, it is in hot water. Hot water is once again you are heating and you are using the water. So in a nutshell, it is a very focused area. And another reason why it has become a focus, as Madan was just mentioning, almost 20-25% of our HLP cost is on water. In that, but yes, it depends on the hotel to hotel, what type of water resource, whether it is a borewell, whether it is tanker, whether it is municipality, etc., etc. But roughly, as an industry, is about 10-20% of HLP cost is on water. When I'm saying HLP is the second most big cost center in an industry. First is definitely SWB. Second one nowadays is the HLP cost, heat, light and power. So when there is a focus on that, and 20% is on water, definitely it is getting a more focus. So I hope I answered. And some of the things as methodologies, you have 1 minute. Different things. One is the technology, definitely is there. What are the things? Whether it is fixtures, whether it is pressure, because in a basement you have huge high pressure water, but in upper floors you have less, and you are selling the upper floors for the rooms which are, as a luxury rooms, but you are having a water pressure issue. So how you are designing those? In older properties, there are an issues, but in newer properties, the design is taken care these limitations. And circulation, even the water, how you do the entire water treatment and recirculation. We know that it's a laundry, kitchen, other areas, black, grey, we treat it and we use it. Another thing nowadays, indigenous strategies, even the laundry water. The final rinse water, you can use it for the first wash. Have you done it? Yes, many hotels have adopted it. I'm not going to only specific to our industry, but as an industry.
Then I got 15 seconds to wind up.
They have done. And and all the areas except in the room guest usage. Other areas you can use the recycled water, whether it's the water bodies, whether it is fountain, whether it is like what I was just mentioning about the flush, all are recycled water they use. And the idea is by all doing this, we can have the zero discharge. We can achieve the zero discharge status. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinayak, for that elaborate answer. Thank you. In my limited view, no hotel in the country is water positive, and it cannot be water positive. So here's another opportunity for the industry to work collaboratively and see how you can make check dams. Say the Delhi hotels could do it in Haryana and take credit for that. I think there's a great need for enhancing water in rural India.
Absolutely.
Because 85% of the water is consumed by agriculture sector, 10% by industry, 5% by domestic. All are wasteful sectors. There's a huge opportunity. And in this pie chart, we should never forget the needs of the ecosystem. The alligators and the elephants and the wetlands also need water. So since you hoteliers are working quite closely under the umbrella of faith, please take up some large rainwater harvesting projects in UP, Rajasthan, wherever. And not only rainwater harvesting, you could also invest in drip irrigation in a farming community so that you optimize the use of water like LED to energy. Now, this is a general question to anyone, and whoever raises his hands first, he or she answers this question. How is PPB handled post-use considering the world is dumping huge amounts of plastic? As per one report, every second, 1 truckload of plastic is going into the sea. And today we are dealing with very hazardous PPE material and nobody's talking about it. What are the steps that the hotels are taking from their front? I don't see any raise up. Oh, I see Sarina. Yes, Sarina, please go ahead.
We have started using the, am I audible?
Yes.
So we have started using the washable PPs and we have designed a program where we are washing them in-house and
so that means no plastic. Again. You're saying there's no plastic at all. Thank you.
No plastic. No, I'm PPE. PPE.
The
kit.
Mask.
PPE. The mask. No, I'm talking about
the gown is not plastic.
So the gown is washable. No, it's washable and it's reusable.
Okay, thank you.
Washing it
I thought I saw Meenu raising her hands. Did you raise your hands, Meenu? Have you done anything? I see Vinayak's hands going up.
Let Meenu answer.
Meenu, go ahead. Unmute yourself. Meenu, please unmute yourself.
I did it, and it is
now we can hear you. No, we can't hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that, as you rightly said, that plastic is something which is very, very alarming. For we have taken a number of corrective measures in ITC to reduce plastic. And in fact, we have gone plastic free by giving Shunya Aqua water bottles. By dental kit is also now wooden.
I'm referring to the PPE used for COVID purpose. Specifically on.
These are all, initially we used disposable. Now we have moved from disposable to fabrics, which are washable and reusable. But at the same time, even they will be discarded. So these are non-plastic. And these are fabrics. So this is what we will be using.
Okay. Very brief answers from anybody or 2-3 people can put their hands. Yes, Vinayaka, go ahead.
See, I'll speak on behalf of the industry because not specific to only the ITC, because this definitely, you are right, is a big challenge. But the solution to this challenge is segregation at source. If you do the segregation of all the PP, any plastic for that matter, then you can have a solution. Normally what happens, 80 to 90% cases, it is mixed with other garbage, then it becomes very difficult, and even the person who picks it up, he will refuse to use it for useful purpose. Now, coming back to this COVID situation, many PPEs, whether it is mask, whether it is gloves, whether it is apron, etc., you segregate it, but it has a value. And once you segregate this and disinfect it, because you have to treat it like a biomedical waste. When you are treating it like a biomedical waste and give it an authorized people, then there will be recycling possibilities there. So, yes, solution is if you can use a reusable, washable, that is the best. If there are some limitations, then segregate it and hand over to authorized recyclers.
Thank you.
Like this thing, we have to have a time check. We are already show end time, so we need to start capping up.
So, Bhuvnesh, do we have another 5 minutes?
We have maximum 3 minutes.
Okay, good. I'm not going to pose any more questions to you, but I'll leave you with certain thoughts. In my view, kitchen needs a little focus on energy efficiency, because if you enhance energy efficiency in the kitchen, you will enhance the comfort, working comfort of the people out there. Today, we have open flames in most hotels, and there's a need to go in for radiant cooking. I know that some hotels have put Agnismukh device in their hotels, which has reduced the gas consumption and reduced the heat load. And also see how we bring the techniques of the pumping technology for precision use in the kitchen. Because if you ask a chef how much water you need for boiling 10 eggs, somebody will say 15 liters, somebody will say 14 liters. We don't have a standard. Can we have standards for every process in the kitchen so that we reduce water like eye drops? And with IoT, this may be possible. So this is an area for investment to address the water stress that is looming large. Then hotels which are in rural, semi-rural parts of the country, they have an opportunity to add value to the rural community. They can give them inputs on rainwater harvesting. I have suggested set up a bank of nutrition. It costs only about 11,000-12,000 rupees. Even that may not be the cost for the hotels, because hotels have their own horticulture department and people. All they need to earmark is 500 square feet of space to grow all those plants and give it to the villagers and add value to them. They're very low cost ideas with great impact and great goodwill that they can generate from the local community. Then India produces 1.3 billion tons of cow manure, and we have an initiative called the Gobar Dhan in the country. Now again, hotels which are the outlying areas, they can get gobar from the villages, first set up the gobar gas plant in the hotel to test it out, use it themselves, and then create a business model so that gobar is converted into biogas, and biogas is converted into biofuel for local vehicles. And so the biofuel can also extract liquefied CO2, and from liquefied CO2 you can make dry ice, and that can help in improving the cold chain infrastructure in the villages. And if we do that, then we'll be addressing the climate change issues, and we'll be reducing the waste, and also we'll help the farmers to increase his or her income. So with this inputs, I would like to once again thank Business World and Bhuvnesh and all my co-panelists for your very good answer. Dhanyavad.
Thank you. It's truly been a delight. Hosting you. Imagine I am hosting a show in which I have Mr. Khatri. I think you're a very tall leader and a very tall name. Thank you for gracing our show, for hosting our show, for moderating it. I am very, very grateful. I shall first do the honor with the three ladies. Meenuji, thank you for being there. Yeah, my first show with you. Yeah. Harinder, ever smiling, ever graceful as ever. Thank you for your inputs, Karina. Right? Very, very nice show. And now to the two Bhaskars and Vinayaka. Absolutely delighted. I wish I could have extended the show by another half an hour. Mr. Masinani, it's a pleasure. I've never met you, but a pleasure hearing you and seeing you on screen. Same with you, Bhaskar Gurunath. Very nice to meet you. Vinayaka ji, I think I met you once. And Madan ji, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. I'll just pose one small idea with you. Kindly don't do this. Don't close the show till I say. But having said that, I plan to do one very, very special series which will focus on environment, conservation, recycling, housekeeping, engineering and procurement. Right? Do you think we should do that?
Yeah, it does.
Yes,
No doubt.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Will you all be there?
Anytime.
Will you all be there?
Yeah.
All right.
We should-
I will
Yeah,
get you
sure.
on. I look forward to your support because this industry needs it more than ever before. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hey.
Pranam. Bye, Harinder.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Madan Bhai, sir. Bye. Bye, Bhaskar. Bye, Bhaskar. Mr. Vinayaka, Serena, Harinder. Bye-bye.